All right, where did we leave off?
I think Hombre de la Casa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was your most like powerful personal project that you did.
Yeah, I think that story is about the actual day that my father left our family. There's a line in the movie where he says to the son, which is me, you're the man of the house now, which is always, and it really did happen in real life. Like my mom and him had a big fight, and that was the last time I ever really saw him around the house. So I think it was like seven. I was 7. I remember because my sister was 16 and pregnant at the time, and me and her have this conversation all the time, and like that line really like stuck with me because, and I talk to my therapist about it all the time, where it's like this expectation of being a male and a Latino male and like in a household where you have to feel like you are the man of the house. But I was only 7, so yeah, I really wanted to put that in a story, and I really wanted to put that in a film. So when I got the chance to, this was I don't know if you noticed my films started pivoting to more like drama stuff, and I think as filmmakers we kind of go through phases of like our artistry. Like we, I know like the next film I want to do is going right back to horror, right? Yeah. But I think you need that experience of writing something of like comedy. You need to write comedy, learn how to know how to deliver lines and how that works in film, and same with drama where you can really put that personal touch and really start honing your skills with resonating with people and their emotions and see like how they react to your own film. And I feel like a lot of that has to do with the music as well, which when Hombre de la Casa was personal for me because it was also full circle. I had given up on being a musician. Like that was like my first love, and that's what really got me into doing films. So when I did Hombre de la Casa, I was just like, let me score the music for this. Yeah. Because I think this is some sort of closure, some sort of therapeutic healing for myself, as feeling like, oh, I failed as a musician. All I did was become a drug addict, and like really hating myself at that time. When I was in school, and then having finally like actually taking care of myself and healing and really focusing on my recovery, and still having some missteps on the way, but like not letting that take me back and just keep moving forward, right? I wrote the music, and it was a really good moment for me because the music won a couple awards in film festivals, and and it was like it made me feel like, oh, okay, like I'm not such a failure. You know what I mean? I did something. I wrote that music. I wrote it, and I composed it, and I put it in the film, and it really like spoke to me in a lot of good moments. And so like that film itself, that's why it's so personal for me, because it's like a real personal story.
You put everything into it.
Yeah, and you'd be surprised, right? Because it's like my second short film, and then I've done other films after that, and that one, every time I watch it, like, still like some, like me and Chris, that was me and Chris's second project. So there were a lot of things I wanted to do and like kind of elevate from our next film, because a lot of the Hombre was a very static film. It was on sticks a lot of the time with a couple panning here and there. Yeah. But like here, I was like, I want him to have an easy rig. I want him to hold, like, we want to move the camera a lot more here. So there was a lot of like risk taking. And I think it was, it paid off some moments. There were some moments that I wish could have been done differently. But I think for me, I was hoping, and I still have this hope, that like it's more of the story that's going to matter the most and how it looks produced. And I'm learning that sometimes that's how it is, and most times that's not. Like you can see like a film that someone spent like almost $20K with, right? The writing's not that good, but it looks pretty. It looks really pretty, and they had the money and the budget to do stuff to, elevate the filmmaking process of it, the production value, but the storytelling and the acting falters a little bit. And that is where I get really defensive with Hombre, because I know that like, yeah, we shot that with a Black Magic cinema, right? It wasn't a red camera. We're still learning, but like I had really put a lot into that story and really found like really good actors and actresses to like play those roles. So it was so like to this day, like I'll rewatch it and I'll still like I'll get emotional because there's just a lot that was put in there.
Yeah, from an outside perspective, like I only watched it once, but that one time it hit me so hard, like I could connect with you. My parents were separated. They still bicker here and there, but that made me bawl my eyes out, dude. I had messaged you. I told you.
I appreciate that,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, no, it's always good to that's the best part about filming. And like I have to remind myself because sometimes you can get bogged down with like why isn't this where it needs to be? Why don't festival judges like it and why is it not, And then at the end of the day, and Colin has to remind me of this all the time because it's not a reflection of like um it's not of it's like it's what does success mean to you at the end of the day, right? Like I would at the end of the day I have to be like I don't really care if festivals accept them or not anymore. It's more of like, can I make a connection with another human being? Can they? And at the end of the day, that's what it's the most important. I have to, and like I said, I have to remind myself that because we want our art to. I was talking to my therapist about this. It's like all or nothing sometimes, right? You get
Hmm.
in this zone where it's like my artistry is all or nothing. Like, will I stay in this existence without having anything accomplished and to show it, right? And will I survive as an artist? Like will I have the money to keep doing what I love to do? And sometimes it's not like malicious or anything, right? You have these dreams to have more money so I can relate and resonate to more people, right? So I can tell my stories and they can tell me their stories and they can like my goal was always to like make films so people can find hope again and like when they get lost, right? And I'm like my mind is like but I need the money to do that because if I don't I'm going to self-fund it. I'm going to have to you know break the bank to be able to make my art and that's that all or nothing kind of starts coming in. And
Yeah.
then Colin reminds me and grounds me. It's like bro, like you watch people watch Blue, people watch Juliet Delta, people watch Hombre, and they get that feeling that you trying to do so much. Like, honestly, everyone tries to make their mark in this world, right? And I think at the end of the day, if people remember your name after you die and it's they remember the feeling that they had around you, I think that's enough. So that's kind of I have to remind myself all that time. So like every time I see a rejection from Hombre de la Casa, nowadays it's like
Yeah.
someone cried watching that. And that's
Yeah.
all I care about. Someone like loved watching it. Someone loved the music. Someone can relate to being a child of divorce. Someone can relate to being in a Latino household and knowing how hard that is. Someone can relate to feeling like they had to be the man of the house. And I really appreciate you saying that because I always have to rewatch my films to remind myself that like I really love the work that I produce and that I have to give myself a little bit more credit because then you can always just self-loathe and just be
Yeah.
like, ugh.
I mean, obviously, I feel the same way of wanting to, enterprise. It's like, all right, I mean, you watch like a bad movie that was made for $50 million, and you're like, well, you gave me $50 million, like you don't even know what I could do, all that
Right,
shit. But
exactly.
it's also important to be mindful of the life that you live, and like you and I both have great lives,
Oh, yeah.
surrounded by people that we love and that love us and everything. And especially, I mean, for you and me, when you look back and like where our lives were at 8 years ago, so many people had it so much worse, but nonetheless, like to be where we are now and
Yep.
both be sober and be surrounded with, again, like just great people and to be able to afford to do what we love and to be able to connect with people is a blessing. And
Yeah.
it's something a lot more than it's more than a lot of people get, unfortunately.
Well, we're the lucky few, bro. Because
Yeah.
there's people who just aren't here on this earth anymore because of our disease, and they got really unlucky. You know what I mean?
And I mean, it's that. Yeah, I mean, everybody wants to have the financial and creative freedom that Tarantino or like Kubrick got or whatever, Paul Thomas Anderson gets. like obviously, but like, you know, it's a spectrum, and it's like, well, you know, if you were really given the option of trading your life to be someone like Mr. Beast, not to target him, but to be like a content creator worth, I don't know, $1 billion, who has like billions of views and makes nothing, and seems like, again, I don't know the guy, but he's the quintessential. That dude is not a human being. That dude is like something that like the internet made, like some sort of like, you know, and I mean, deep down, he probably is a human being, but he's probably not connected to that at all. And it's like, would you really trade your existence for that? Like, for me, it's like, fuck no. Like, I don't want to.
Honing our skills for human connection. I think it's a big lesson for us when we make our art. It's, you know, how nowadays it's and it's even now, like even with my last two films, like Blue and Juliet Delta, they are not doing well at festivals at all. I'm at the point where I'm like, I might just withdraw them and just put them on YouTube, because I know people watch this. Like Ro, when she told me how she felt about it, I was even watching it and like seeing people's reactions to the music, and like really like, I'm like, why don't I just put it on YouTube? Like, why do I need this validation of like putting it in festivals? Honestly, like, you're not going to really get much out of it for short films, at least. Like feature films, like, yeah, someone might like it and want to distribute it, and then that's how you can make some connections and make some money, you know. But at the end of the day, like, it's not going to really happen for short films. Like you might be able to get your short film in like a really high
I mean, it's really only makes sense if you're making the short film Whiplash, and the reason they made the short film Whiplash was because they had the feature film Whiplash ready to go. He had J.K. Simmons, but he was a first-time director. So somebody said, we're not going to give you money to make your own feature film. And obviously Whiplash is very specific in his vision. So I think, but J.K. Simmons had signed on to it.
And he was in the short film too.
Yes. So he said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to make this in I don't know how long it is. I think it's like 10 minutes or something. I admit I never saw the short film of Whiplash. I should probably.
I think I've seen it.
But you know, then it gets into Sundance because it's starring J.K. Simmons in his best role ever.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, Jesus Christ. Like, oh my God.
So good.
So then they go, all right, yeah, we'll finance your movie. But outside of that, it's like, I always tell you with Juliet Delta, the only like problem with it isn't a problem. It's that the way that festivals book, the fact that it's 17 minutes means that people will watch and go, this is great. But we also got 3 short films that are all 5 minutes long that are like, about as good. And if we go with these 3 5 minutes, we're going to end up with more people coming to our thing because more filmmakers will be promoting it. More cast and crews will be attending the event. Which, you know, kind of feels like a hustle sometimes, but it's also like that, you know, running a festival is hard and they're trying to make their money back. And, you know, but it is, I mean, it's.
Someone told me the other day, because I have these moments where when I get rejected from a film festival, I start questioning, like, why am I even doing that part of it? Because like putting your stuff in film festivals, it costs money too. Like there's fees and all that. So like you think you're like, oh, it's only like $10-15, and then you want to put them in like 6 or 7 of those, and it ends up being like $400 or $500. Like you're like, holy crap. So I call someone, and like they're like, you know, you're kind of, you know, it's not only just about getting your films out there, but it's also like your production company is kind of a brand now. Like you're kind of building a brand, and like that kind of like made me look at it differently a little bit. Like, it's okay. I'm like, yeah, that's right. Like, why don't I just, you know, like, how about I make the films that I feel like would probably do well in festivals, and then how about I make films that I can just put on YouTube and then build my channel that way, and then build like maybe a platform for other filmmakers who, like, I don't really want to put it into a film festival, but I do want to do some exposure. And I'm like, okay, give me your film, and like, let's kind of put it out there and see how that works. Let's utilize social media. Let's utilize YouTube and Vimeo and all that jazz. Like we're so, you know, like I have to let go of the fact that like maybe one of my short films will be the one that gets me on easy street, and then like I'm good to go for the rest of my life. When in reality, it's not going to work that way. You know, like guys like me and Collin, we have to hustle and try and fail and try and fail and try and fail, and like but like I love doing it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to. I don't like. I'm sure there are days, but they're like it's like Van Gogh, bro. Like no one understood his art until like he died years later, you know, but he still did it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's just like a thing in us. It's like
It's compulsive.
yeah, I mean, it's like we're junkies. You know, at the end of the day, like we trade one thing for the other, but the other thing is healthier, to an extent.
More fulfilling.
More fulfilling, but like you know, you can get really obsessed with it, and you can spend most of all your money to do it and get it done. But you have to strategize. You have to make goals, right? Like, do I want to make short films for the rest of my life? Absolutely not. Like, I would love to do short films in the future. But like I think our next step is doing features. But you know, Hombre de la Casa will always be the one that made me realize that like I have the ability to hire cast, hire crew, work with the same people. And then you know, I think that was when you and I connected again, right after
With
Hombre.
Juliet Delta.
Well, yeah, but like Hombre de la Casa, I think.
Yeah, I think I did some audio thing for it.
Yeah. And then Juliet Delta was the next project that we got into. And that one was definitely I don't like I had to there's a book right next to you, directing actors. Yeah, it's on the it's what it is, but that one I wrote because this was when I was starting to it's funny, and I remember telling you this. I'd relapsed. This was the last time I relapsed, and I got clean. I'd relapsed 2 weeks before production. I had a really close friend of mine, and she ended up going to the hospital at a psych ward, and it really affected me. Because you know, this was the first time I ended up using because of my emotions instead of using because of I was bored.
Yeah.
You know, I needed to numb this feeling out. But I had relapsed 2 weeks or 3 weeks before filming Juliet and Delta, and I was on the verge of just like canceling the whole project because I just wasn't confident in myself anymore. And I was doing pretty good. I was reading that book because like the script was a heavy script, man, and it was a lot of like real acting. And I'm like, can I do this again? Like, can I direct an actor? Like, how good am I gonna? How good of a director can I be to really like make the story come alive and like really have them trust me as a director? Because for some reason I felt like I was stunned a little bit. Like I couldn't. I'm like, there's no way that this is gonna be good because I just didn't trust myself as a director. I don't know. It was weird, you know.
Yeah.
But I had relapsed, and then and then I ended up like smoking a little bit of weed after, and I was just like, I got so paranoid, and I was just like, oh my God, we have to take Vac out to the Salem, an alleyway in Salem, and he's got a prop weapon in his pants, and they're gonna think it's a real weapon, and they're gonna arrest us, and then is the script even good? I need to rewrite. And then I was just like, bro, like you were smoking weed for this long, and this is you, bro. Like this is what you've been dealing with for like 20 plus years of your life. How much potential you squandered because of your paranoia and your inability to trust yourself. And like, I stopped using drugs that day. I was just like, whoa. Like,
Because you didn't want to throw everything away.
Not throw it away, but realizing that like I had squandered so much of my potential because I had so much self-doubt because I use drugs all the time to block that out.
Yeah.
You know, and then when you're off the weed for a long time and then you get back on it, it's like tenfold. And you're like, whoa, like I had to stop. And I usually never stop smoking a joint. I'll do a whole joint to the head. I had to like just stop halfway because I was just like I'm like, I can't believe I did this to myself for like the past however many years. And like, I'm like, wow, like no wonder I never became a good musician. All I would do was like, I sucked at music. Let me smoke weed and numb it out. You know what I mean? I never took the time to be like, hey, how about we figure this out? How about you take the time and effort to build your craft? You know? So like So yeah, I put it down, and then I started reading that book even harder. I was just like, all right, how am I going to direct these actors? How are they going to trust me as their leader? You know what I mean? Like, I had a whole team. What was it, like 12 people on
Something
Julie,
like that,
something like
yeah.
that, and like in a motel room. You know what I mean? And like it's a small space, right? And like you're the captain, and that was that moment where I realized like, okay, like I am where I need to be. I can trust my writing ability. I can trust my directing ability. Like I got this, and I can be the captain of this ship, and I have people I trust to help me. You know, if I can go to them and be like, what do you think here, and how do we get this here? And you know, Chris was amazing, and Collin was awesome. When like there were times where it's like he's like, I'm the producer, I'll handle it. You're
Yeah.
good. You just take your time.
So he took some of the weight off of your shoulders.
For sure, because like Hombre de la Casa, I was handling a lot of the grunt work for sure.
Yeah. Well, it's the way that I always explain it is like because people ask like what the difference is between a producer, director, and then it's like then people hear about this thing called an assistant director, and it's like why are they always yelling? Like I don't get it because it's not the director's assistant; it's a thing almost equal to the director. Is the set has the set is like a state of unreality. It's not the world that we live in. It's like you're in like this weird capsule isolated from the rest of the world where this fantasy whatever we're doing can play out. The producer creates that bubble and makes it fucking exist, and then they protect that bubble. So the common one with indie filmmakers is
Nice.
that happening. Fucking
Yeah, yeah.
motorcycles driving right by. Motorcycles driving by, but filming outside even with permits, fucking cops coming over and trying to fuck with
Oh,
you.
you need a permit to film?
Yeah, we skirt the line sometimes.
Yeah.
Like having back.
I think Werner Herzog said that spending a night in jail is worth it if you get the shot that you need. Nonetheless, even if you have a permit, though, cops can give you a hard time if they don't like you.
Yeah.
Which, you know.
So is it to say like I'm taking up this space? I might be disrupting things because I'm filming. It's just like a
No, so
safety net.
it's like if you wanted to film at that graveyard across the street, you would contact probably the town,
Sure.
and they may, you know, especially if you had a friend who worked for the town or whatever, but they'll give you a permit for the day. And then if a nosy neighbor or so maybe calls the police and says there's a bunch of kids out there, I don't know, they have a camera, they're probably doing drugs or something. Cop has to go investigate, and if the cop is an asshole or they're having a bad day or they just don't like you, they can give you a hard time. So the producer protects that bubble, where if you have a producer and a police officer or a neighbor or whatever is approaching the set, the producer says, yeah, I'm in charge, how can I help you? And they
So they're like the
so the
bouncer.
director can use that opportunity to talk more with the cinematographer and the actors and act like it's a good thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they protect that bubble, and then within that bubble, there is a lot of things moving around at once. You got the crafty being run. You got you got to make sure that things are being staged correctly. You got to make sure that fucking chords are getting taped down. You have to make sure so many things are happening, which is why you have so many people working who specifically have like a singular sort of job. The person running all of this is the assistant director, which is why the AD is yelling, because it's like this, and also we're shooting in 3 minutes, so you have 3 minutes to complete whatever you're doing. They're marshaling that, they're conducting it, and ideally, then the director can be in charge of only a single thing, which is the most important thing, and the only thing that really matters, which is this rectangle that is the frame. Everything in and around the frame and how things are going to sound. That is where the director's focus should be on that.
Yeah.
So like with Juliet and Delta, obviously different camera technical fuck ups, like there always will be. I remember sometime though, like this fucking where like in the parking lot where they're or like outside the motel room where they're building the camera, and one of the ACs goes like, goddamn motherfucker, what the fuck? Oh, this piece of shit,
Yeah.
Normal assistant camera things. And I think he spins around, he's like, what's going on? And I'm like, hey, no, you away, get away. And I go over and I'm like, what's up, man? And it was probably John, and he's like, "Oh, hey, this thing isn't working. It's stuck. Blah 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 blah." 2 minutes later, the problem is resolved. Whatever it was, it doesn't matter. That happens all the time, every single time. And I've had this problem too, where you're a director and you're trying to make something, and you keep getting pulled away for something like that, or pulled away because hey, we're gonna order lunch from like this place, but like I have a question about such and blah 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 blah. None of that has anything to do with the frame. So ideally, the director, even on a low budget sort of thing, shouldn't have to deal with any of that fucking shit.
Yeah.
You know?
Now, if you don't, if you don't have a, if you don't have a good producer, then like the director tends to have to deal with all that shit. But if you have a good right hand man, he did ease a lot of the. And I don't know. Did I tell you that I was at a relapse? I wasn't sure if you.
You told me a week or two afterwards,
yeah.
but and what did I say? I said, Marco, you got out of the car, you had shaved your head. I kind of picked up on that.
I shaved. I had
what I mean?
undercut. Yeah. I got this tattoo. I just showed up, and
I think you were late too. Like
I wasn't like. I was
not like bad late, but like a little late.
Yeah, I had to pick someone up. I think I had to pick back up or something like that.
You got out of the car, and I was like, uh-oh.
Oh, yeah. I was, because I was also really nervous too. So like I wanted to do something impulsive. I couldn't do drugs anymore. Yeah. Like, I was already like, I think I had like 2-3 weeks clean at that point, right? And I was just like really nervous. Like I was a weird nervous feeling like, wow, I'm actually doing this without smoking any weed, without any drinking, without any, like this was me. So, I mean, I know I was definitely chain smoking like a motherfucker. Like
that's normal.
I was like cigarette after cigarette after. I'm surprised because I usually get like sick after 2 cigarettes in a row. And I was just like, but like, that's usually what happens after I recover. I need some sort of thing. I'm good now. I don't vape or smoke any cigarettes. But at that time I was nervous, and, and I remember just, it was such a magical time of filmmaking. Same with Hombre de la Casa. There was so many good moments, but it was a magical time. And this is going to sound really corny, but like it was working with like Collin, finally having the last piece of that puzzle. Cause like I always really missed him a lot. And then when we finally got our reconnected again, and I was like, I don't want anyone else to work with me if like I need Collin in this project, because Collin got me started into the world of like behind the camera. Okay. You know what I mean? He's the one who taught me how to be a script supervisor. He's the one who taught me how to be a producer and being on set the professional the right way. Like that's what I took from him when we had our little falling out when I started Umbra. Everything I learned from him I put into the production, and that's how I was able to build my like my culture when we get onto set, right? And so when Juliet Delta came up, I was like, I need him in that project, because now it's finally, I have the team: Collin, Henry, Allison, Owen, Chris, Ocampo when he ever picks up his phone.
He doesn't. I hope he's okay.
But yeah, Natasha, who's been my day one. Same with Chris, like my day ones, right? But like building that team and finally seeing like that team
all come together. And so it was such a good, like magical moment where it's like, wow. And we finished the film like in 25 hours. Like we all stayed in this motel in Cape Cod, and we knew this was going to be like a 2-day shoot, but like, we shot everything in Salem. It took us like maybe 4 or 5 hours. And then like, it's a big script, it's 17 pages, I believe, 20, I forget how many pages, but a lot of it is, if you saw Juliet and Delta, it's on that motel room. You know what I mean? Yeah.
A lot of that
takes place mostly there.
Yeah, it's like
a few outdoor scenes.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like a theater production, right? And that's what I was worried about, right? I was like, okay, like, when you're filming, sometimes it's like a lot of moving pieces in a lot of different locations, and like the scene is only like 4 or 5 lines. So you can kind of get away with like being a director and just kind of like focusing on the cinematography and then going to the actor. And a lot of it is just like trusting the actor and being like, you got this. But I remember like my brain was just telling me like, you're pretty much producing a theater production right now. And the actors are going to need their director to direct them, because blocking is blocking. But at the end of the day, like, like you really need, like, this is a really emotional a piece. This is like, this is, you know, there's a lot of layers underneath this. It's not just like, oh, two people are planning a bank heist. No, this is about like, you know, this is about
their relationship, their future,
There's also
sacrifice.
Exactly. And then we're also dealing with like a bit of what's the right word for it? You know, like I said, people of color is always a big factor in my stories, right? So like a black couple too, like, you know, and
kind of the idea that he had accepted his destiny as a black man a long time ago, and she sees something else
right
for him.
Exactly. You know, we're dealing with classism a little bit. We're dealing, you know, like just like the systematic hurdles that couple has to deal with, and that now they're put in this position where it just wasn't easy for them. You know, so like I really had to dig down and dig deep in myself as a creative to like be able to like hone my skill as a director and like talk to them and express to them like, you know, and I opened up to them too. Like those were like the real like few people that I told them like, yeah, you know, I'm going through recovery, and like some of these characters are based off like a little bit of me, you know what I mean? Especially Vac's character, who's who's a former Marine, and he's gone through NA, and he's trying to make a better life for himself, but he just, because of just society, he has to resort to, you know, this. But at the end of and the original ending, it was funny because like Allison was the one who kind of convinced me like to change the ending a little bit, but you know, she wasn't pushing for it. But the original ending to that was that he was going to rob that bank, fail, get shot, and die. And that was, and then Chris's character Juliet was just going to be waiting for him in that room, and she's never going to see him again. Yeah. And I was just like, and I wasn't married to it because I was just like, you know, I think that's enough trauma that, you know, like our people need to deal with. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, how about a happy ending? How about where he decides that like that they can figure it out? They will figure it out, and it's about the kid, it's about his partner, and that he'd rather be alive and do it the right way, and you know, he can overcome any obstacle or hurdle if he has the people that he loves with them. So, you know, that's the message at the end of the day. So like I ended up like rewriting that ending, and I'm like, I like this ending way better. You know, like he comes back, knocks on the door, and his hand is just like pops up and holds their child. And I was just like, that's like the image. And I think that was like the last thing we shot. And it was such a moment because I really fell in love with who I was as a person at that time, as an artist. Like I go back to remind myself of those moments of like, damn, like I was on my game. I was on top of like this. I went through so much before the filming and made a declaration of like, I'm going to stop using. And I'm going to focus on getting good at this.
You set your goals and
I set my goals.
Achieved them.
Yeah. And you know, I found a place to finally be like proud of myself and be okay with like being imperfect and accepting and surrendering too. Like surrendering to the fact that like, yeah, I'm not gonna get it right all the time, but as long as I keep putting like a step forward, you know, I'm good to go. But yeah, no, and then yeah, so like Juliet Delta was just one of those projects that like I love to death, and like, you know, festivals, if they like them, they like them. But at this point, it's like I think it's actually almost done with the festival circuit. And the problem with my issue with festivals, I do not do like local stuff. I kind of go out to like high market festivals, and those tend to just like.
Yeah, it just comes down to who you fucking know.
Yeah, pretty much.
So like, I mean, just as a contrast to that, I was in this awesome local festival called Dead of Winter Horror that was run by a group out of Worcester. And Borrowed Time is not really a horror film. Right. It's a music video that has a lot of inspiration from kind of like folk horror, you know, Robert Eggers or whatever. But James Lamond, I started talking to him a lot and to get permission to screen Jessica at the Guardian Festival. he produced that for Jeremy Arruda. So I started talking to him. He's a great dude. We have a lot in common because he's a horror freak like I am. I end up also showing the trailer to his vampire film upcoming. And I'm like, hey man, like, yeah, you got this thing going on. I'm like, where do I submit? Like Film Freeway? And he goes like, bro, Film Freeway is a fucking scam. The idea that you would have to pay money to have somebody look at your movie just to reject you, fuck that, man. We're building something better than that. And I'm like, okay, dude. I'm like, that's awesome. But I'm like,
how do I?
I'm like, what would you? And he's like, you just email me, brother. So I sent him an email, and I was like, yeah, like I know it's not like horror, but you know, maybe for your consideration. And he accepted it immediately, and they showed it. And at this festival, it was hours of horror movies, some really really good stuff. Most of it local. There's hours of it, and also Borrowed Time was just thrown in there. It was the only music video. It just happens. Like it just happens. And it's one of 2 non-horror films. You want to guess who made the other non-horror film? Chris Salvi.
Nice.
Because clearly he knows Chris Salvi, and he's like, Chris, you're my boy. Okay, I will show your latest thing too. So yeah, I mean, it really just comes down to like connections.
Yeah.
And you know, him probably being like, yeah, you're a cool guy, and you showed my stuff.
Yeah.
And I fuck with this, even though it's a little bit outside of the genre requirements. You know, fuck it.
Yeah, it's always just good to have people have faith in your projects. And like, you know, nowadays it's kind of like even just having this conversation and reflecting, right? It's like, damn, I'm just glad that we finished a project. We got it done. We did pre-production. We did principal photography. We did post-production, you know, and it's weird. Like artists just get to this weird, like all or nothing, man. And then you just forgot like the process that it took you to get to that part. And you got to give yourself a little bit of some compassion, being like, dude, you did a project, you finished it, you put it out there. Whether that's like being premiered once, maybe getting a couple festivals, like cool. Like now, like put it out to the public so they can all see it. And then if it gets 200 views on YouTube, great. If it gets 200,000 views on YouTube, great. Like, but the fact is that you did a project and, you know, you fell in love with the process of it. It's like, that's what it really is falling in love with the process of it. And then like enjoying like a bit of the fruit of your labors, I guess, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be money, but it can be the fact that like I did something that most people, you know, either they do it or they don't, or they say they're gonna do it and then they make maybe like 100 excuses of like not doing it. Just get a cameraman and just start filming, you know what I mean? Put the audio as a voice narration if you don't have an audio guy, but if you have an audio guy, great. Make a small script, make a page or two, write about something you know, write about something you don't know. Like fail. You're not gonna know what success is and whatever your vision of success is if you don't try and fail.
Because you have nothing to compare it to.
Exactly. You know what I mean? We've tried and failed lots of times, you know? But yeah, like that's kind of like the vibe that I've been kind of going with a lot, like just trying to figure out like what's the next steps and like how am I gonna elevate my artistry, you know what I mean? Like what's the next thing I'm going to do? And like, what challenge do I give myself? And how do I find ways to be, you know, proud of myself without needing the validation of others all the time. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like, you know, what we're doing right now, I guess nowadays is doing that, just making movies and trying not to break the bank too much for sure. You know what I mean? But like if I can, I know, so I have to take my own advice, man. Get a camera and like, you know, get some sound equipment, and like I'm trying to do some like micro shorts that I can just push on YouTube. I want to work with actors that want to work with me. It gets good practice for my writing, and like, hey, like we can just film anywhere, man. You know what I mean? And just practice that and get that skill up and build the brand, build the channel, build the skills. Because sometimes what happens is you make a short film, you're working on it and you're editing it for like maybe, I don't know, like how long did Borrowed Time take? Like,
I don't want to think about it.
Yes.
I ended up doing most of my work on 6 weeks. I think it was 6 months done over the course of in 6 weeks. It was a lot.
Yeah.
And then poor Matt had maybe 4 weeks to do, I'm like, yeah, Matt, I feel like this is 4 months of work. And he's like, it's all good, bro. And then just cranked out all that VFX.
Yeah, I mean, it takes a lot.
Yeah, I mean, from wrap to premiere, 11 months,
Yeah, you put so much time and effort, and like, like we get tunnel focus a lot. So it's like, I won't start another project until I get this project done. You know what I mean? Because there are people who like will ask you like a month or two after you filmed, like, oh, when's this coming out? And I'm like, bro, I don't even have this on the editing board yet. Like, I'm still gathering all the film. I'm trying to figure out how this is gonna fit together, because everything I